what I want you guys to sit there and look at is, well, on number 1, follow the tick marks. Yes, there is a right triangle, but is there a hypotenuse leg in this case? Yeah. No, there is no hypotenuse leg. What we have here is angle, side, angle. There's an angle, a side, and an angle. That's how that one works. Okay? You go to the next one. This one has that overlap. What is it called when you have the overlap? Remember? What do we call it? Reflexive. Good. So when you have that reflexive side, you've marked it, and what do you wind up with? Don't you sass me. Side, angle, side. We haven't even gotten to it. Probably not, because I want to go over it. Those are great notes. Those are great examples for proofs. Okay? On 3, what do you do? Yeah, the other side, and what do you wind up with? Very good. What you're doing here is anytime you see this overlap, anytime you have this overlap, guys, mark the diagram because it's reflexive. Today what we're going to do is I'm going to show you guys how to mark reflexive in a progression on your proofs, so that way when we get to actually filling in blanks of proofs today, you'll know what to do. Very, very easy. 4. You were saying you had a problem with 4. Now, in this case here, you have reflexive again at BC. Everybody okay with that? Mm-hmm. So if I mark that, I have side, angle, side.
Is that wrong?
No, it's right. I don't have hypotenuse leg here because I don't know about the AC or the SC. Excuse me. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing great.
What's up, Moy?
I believe. All right, that's why it's one of those two. Now when we go to the next one. On number 5, you've got 2 sets of sides, but do you have anything else? So this one we don't know anything about. Can't do anything. We don't have enough information. I can't say those 2 are correct. I don't know. That's nothing. Okay. On 6, what do you have? What do you have overlap? AC. But now look at what you have. Start with your side. Side, side, angle. Angle, side, side. Angle, side, side. Is there an ass in math?
No.
This is another one that does not work.
Because I got ASS, so I thought it was
The only ones that you have are these 4, or 5, excuse me. You only have those 5. That's it.
You can't call teacher dude. I didn't. You just said, dude, I had like...
Wait, why doesn't that work?
There is no side, angle, side. Because if you look at this, you're going in what's consecutive. Side, side, then an angle. The angle is not between the 2 sides. You would have to have the angle here and here.
But on the top.
But see how this side touches this side, then it touches the angle? It's not talking about this one. So this would be side, side, angle. We know that there is no ass in math. It does not work. I want you guys to remember, even though you do have 2 sides and an angle, if you have 2 sides in the angle, where does the angle have to be? In the middle. Is it between the 2 sides?
Yes.
No, it's not, because it's out on the other side.
Oh, it's on the other side of the angle.
Right.
Are you?
See how it's over here? That's why we have these. That's why we have these letterings like this. That way you know exactly where they're going to be placed. Okay? Does that help?
Yeah.
Yeah, but...
Hey, look, all the bow ties. What do you always know about happens in the bow ties? There's always vertical angles. So no matter what, one of the first things you can do with these guys, just like you could do with reflexive, if there's something overlapped, you can throw in vertical angles. What do you get here? Side, angle, side. Do the same thing here. What do you get? Is that angle between the 2 sides?
No, side, side, side.
Nope. You have side, side, angle again. So can you make that work?
No.
Nope. On 9, you've got 2 angles given to you on both triangles. Could you figure out what those third angles are? How many degrees are in a triangle?
Wait, would there ever be a question like that on a test where you just cross it out?
There might be. But one of the things, and I'll get to this in a second here, because when we talk about the actual proofs, they're telling you it has to be able to work. these are just getting us used to what do they look like, what can you do to a diagram in order to show it, okay? And then what you did yesterday took a little bit of this away from you. You had to place things on diagrams to figure it out. Today, you'll have given statements that you'll put on the diagrams to figure out. So we're adding one little step to each part here. When I give you a proof, it's going to be able to work. Some of these diagrams won't. That's all. How many degrees are in a triangle? 180. So what's left with 60 and 61? You're left with 59 and 60. You're left with? Okay. So now you have angle, angle, which means if I have an angle and an angle, the only two ways of showing that triangles will work is if I have a side between them or a side after them. What do I have? Side between them, so you have angle, side, angle. I'm going to show you that trick here in a minute about when you know what you have, about filling in letters. Okay? Parallel lines cut by transversals. 9 times out of 10, when you see them that look like this, where they're enclosed, they kind of look like a parallelogram, you know right away that that's going to be reflexive. Do you agree? If you have both sets that are parallel, you also wind up with alternate interior angles. So what do you get? Angle, side, angle. The flag one we did in class. Whenever you see one that looks like that flag, I'd say 90% of the time, you're going to wind up with corresponding angles. You get your corresponding angles. And again, you get angle, side, angle. On 12, everybody agree we've got vertical angles? We got the vertical angles here. Then you have parallel lines cut by a transversal. So you have alternate interior here and here. Is there such a thing as angle, angle, angle?
Yes.
Where?
There.
Where?
Right there on the smartphone.
But it's not this board. So is there such a thing as this?
No.
Nope. Nope. No, it's not.
I don't like smiles.
Why are you making me
Oh, I did too. Without mushrooms. Without cream of mushrooms.
All right.
Cream of salt.
Again, you've got this case. You only have the one set. You only have the one set of parallel lines, which means you only have the one set of alternate interior. Okay. So you get these. What else do you have?
Side, side, side.
No, we don't have the other one because if you look at it,
side angle side?
when you have just the parallel lines, you've got these two.
Side, side.
If the other angle would come up there, you'd have to bring it all the way across, which means it'd have to come all the way up to here. And when you have one set of parallel lines, you're only going to get one set of angles. When you have both sets, that's when you can do that, okay? That's a nice little trick to remember. So we have this one. Those red marks won't work. Oops. Let's do that again. So we have these two angles here. We have the reflexive side in the middle. Now look at what you have. Yes, sir? No, she gets that. Follow your tick marks. This is where it becomes important to follow tick marks again. I have angle, side, angle for this triangle. But in the other triangle, I have side, side angle. Are those two triangles congruent? No. That won't work. Follow what's consecutive. One way goes angle, side, angle. The other way goes side, side, angle. They have to match up. If they don't match up, it doesn't work. Okay? Again, on 14, you have one set of parallel lines, which means you're only going to have one set of congruent angles. Those two.
Wait, do they put these problems on purpose when they can't?
Yeah, just so you understand that sometimes things don't work. About making sure you follow your diagrams, that's all. Okay. And what else do you have left over? Here you have side, angle, side. You got side, angle, side in this case, okay? And then last but not least, look, another bow tie. And another bow tie, which means I can throw vertical angles in.
Yep.
When I do that, what do we get?
Hypotenuse leg.
Do you see a leg?
No. So just H?
No. You have an angle,
Side, angle, side.
another angle, and a side.
Angle, angle, side. So it's like,
Ass.
yeah, I got it right.
No.
Guys, you have to be very careful about what you're looking at,
That's right there.
okay? Follow what you have marked on the diagram to make sure you see what's set up, okay? Now the other one you guys did then yesterday, I think I did the first two, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What I want you guys to see here on number 3, you need to have your progression sheets out when you're doing these things because it's basically telling you what to do. Remember, your progression sheet says if you have a midpoint, then you've got 2 sets of congruent sides. So before I ask you that, or before I do that, anywhere in this given statement, does it say anything about right angles?
No.
Does it say anywhere that there's a right angle?
No.
Does it say, so hopefully on your sheet you did not draw a right angle. Because if you drew a right angle, you just made an angle side side out of you and me.
Because you assume.
You cannot assume these things, guys. There is nothing on there that says it's a right angle. You cannot just write that in. You have to go by what's given. What's given to you is that you have a midpoint. When you have a midpoint, that happens. It does not say that you get a right angle out of midpoint. It just says that you have 2 congruent segments. Yes, ma'am?
Do you have my paper?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I forgot that you threw it away. I don't know why you gave it to something. You.
She wanted it. Okay.
So you cannot assume that there's a right angle there. So if you assume that there's a right angle there, erase it.
You're wrong.
Okay?
This from you guys, so you turn
I'll get it for you. So I've used that one. I've used that first given statement. So now what's next? AB and BC are congruent. You mark it. Here's what I want you guys to get in the habit of, especially when you're starting with the proofs, so it helps you lead to the right direction. Right now, you have 2 sides that are congruent to each other. Which means, if I'm looking at my possible ways of proving things that are congruent, the ones that have at least 2 S's in them are side, 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 and side, angle, side. Which means I have to find either an angle between the sides or another side. What do you have for certain? Yes, sir.
Side, angle, side.
Where's the angle that you found?
Side, side, side.
It's side, 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 because
There's no right angle.
that's reflexive. You cannot assume that it's a right angle. Does it say that there's a right angle?
No.
Then you can't write it down.
Makes a right angle.
It does not. How do you know?
Well, no, it's like, it's like a right angle. Yeah, but you're supposed to do what
You cannot assume anything.
So only if it has a box.
Correct. Or it would say that it's perpendicular, or it'll say it's a right angle. That does not say any of that. So all you can say is that you have a reflexive side.
Do what's given.
You have to follow the givens. You cannot assume anything. Okay? Here's your given one set of parallel sides. When you're given one set of parallel sides, it usually means you're going to have one set of alternate interior angles, the way that transversals work. You get these 2, because these guys are parallel. Okay? I also know that I have a reflexive side. I would mark it. And then the last given is that A and C are right angles. So what do you draw in? So now follow your tick marks. You have angle, angle, side. Angle, angle, side. You have 2 angles and a side given to you. Is that side between them or after them? That's why it's angle, angle, side. That's how you should approach these. You're just looking to see where things are placed. Okay? Hey, look, another bow tie. What are you going to mark right away? Vertical angles. On your progression sheet, you guys have a thing about vertical angles. It says look for vertical angles. And what do you mark? You'd say angle equal or angle congruent angle because vertical angles are congruent. That will come up again. I know right away from looking at my diagram that I can do this. Then I go back and I read my two givens. P is the midpoint of AD and P is the midpoint of BC. So, midpoint creates congruent segments. Midpoint creates congruent segments. What do you have? Do you see two angles? Side angle, side. You have two sides and an angle. It's either going to be side angle, side, or side angle, side. Yes, ma'am. Okay.
Mr. Murphy, I don't have that thing.
Why didn't you tell me that like 20 minutes ago when I started working on it? Go get it. Go get it. Seriously.
Mr. Murphy, pass all the garbage.
Sorry. Go get it. They not us. I think those things are absolutely gross. I don't even know why you guys would bother using them. Ugh. Go between passage areas. I know.
We don't have time. Oh, but it's like the same people that don't read it.
Yeah, I think I'm just gonna throw it out. Just get.
Or just get people started.
What does a bisector do? What does a bisector do of an angle?
Bisects.
Bisects what? An angle. We say it louder.
Well, I don't want to be wrong.
Neither.
That means those two are the same because it says it bisects BAC. A is the vertex, so you cut it in half. Next it says angle B and C are the same, okay? According to my diagram right now I have two angles, which means I have to find the side between them or a side after them. Which one do you have? Correct. Angle, angle, side because AD is reflexive. You have to be able to mark diagrams. Have to be able to follow through on the diagram to mark them through. That's how this stuff works. Hey, look, another angle bisector. Another bisector. AC bisects A and it bisects C, which means these two angles are cut. These two angles are cut. Again, I have two angles. I have to find a side after them or a side between them. What do you have? Reflexive. Good. Angle, side, angle. Careful. It's gotta watch what you have. If you keep mixing it up with angle, side, angle, or side, angle, side, do this. You have two angles right away, which means you got to find a side after or a side before. It's going to force you to say, okay, do I have it here, here, or here? Oh, I have this one, so it goes between. That'll force you to remember which one you're working with. It's a nice little helpful tool, okay?
Yep.
The last one I'm not really too worried about. I'm never going to give you a proof that just tells you that you have a square. We don't really define squares or polygons or anything like that until later. Quadrilaterals, excuse me. We don't define any of those things till like the second semester, so and we won't be doing proofs with those. But if you know what a square is, it's got what?
4 sides.
Yeah, thanks.
Welcome.
All 4 sides are the same. And what happens in the angles?
Side.
No, angles.
Oh.
What do you have?
Side angle, side.
Yeah, side angle, side there. Plus, then you have side, side, side because the reflexive too. There's a bunch of ways. Actually, one.
It's like you can do both.
You can be 3 of them. Actually, you can be 4 of them. So, but I'm never going to give you anything with a square. Okay? Which leads us to being able to do stuff like this. I know that the other day I asked you guys to start this one out with reflexive. I asked that you guys write that one in. We did not finish that out, but I want you guys to write something in. What? That's it. I'm throwing that thing out. It's the same 4 people every day that are using the bathroom. You guys got to learn to go to the bathroom at a different point in time. Come on. Hold it. When I want, go. I don't go. I'm serious. Just go. But it's getting old.
I never know. Why can't you just give people money?
I don't have time for doing stuff like that. You're right, it'd be great, but I don't have time for that. Here's what I want you guys to see. You have a diagram right there, I believe already, with this stuff on it, where we had that,
Yeah, it's the one before.
it was what, we called it AC maybe? AC is what we would call a reflexive side. Okay? When you write this into a proof, here's what happens. In order to use this, you would say this. AC is congruent to AC. And the reason is, quite literally, reflexive. That's all it is. That's all it is. When you need to define that something is there, you just say it's congruent to itself. Thank you. Get longer arms. Hang from the monkey bars.
It
It
works.
works.
Waist on your, you can have your shoes and then.
Did you know that? How do you think I got these long arms?
You're like 6'4".
No, I'm only 6'3".
Can you go?
I used to be able to.
Will you pop a hip now?
Hmm?
Will you pop a hip now?
I'm not that old. So what happens here is that we're going to take it this next step further. And I want you guys to see what happens. When we do proofs now, or at least just for today, you are still starting with the same basic idea from what we've done the past couple of days. You're going to have some sort of a diagram, some given statements. You need to figure out what's coming up next. So if I'm looking at this one, it tells me that AB is congruent to CD. I marked it. It's given. After that, it says the next given statement. B. It tells you BC and AD are the same. Okay? Yeah. So, why is AC congruent to AC? Reflexive. So all you do is you write that in. It's reflexive. And you look at your diagram. What do you have? Why are your triangles congruent? That's it.
Oh, okay.
Now, what I want you guys to do is use the next, I don't know, 10, 12 minutes, 10 minutes or so. Have your progression sheet next to you. These are all fill in the blank. There are 4 of them. Now there's only 3. Do not worry about, don't worry about the one about that picture frame at the bottom of the page we're on right now. I don't care about that. I'm looking at the 3 fill in the blank proofs. Have your progression sheet out because the second proof talks about something called a midpoint. Okay? Everything that you need to be able to write into these blanks are on your progression sheet. Another top tip, which you probably have not done yet, I would put all 5 of these pictures along with the acronyms in a square so you know what they are. Why not put in there what side, side, side looks like, side, angle, side, all of them, because you're gonna use them. Now, the only way that you can show that triangles are congruent is by, in fact, using one of those 5 things. There is no other way of showing it. Okay? Well, there is, but I'm not going to do it. Okay? There's actually quite a bit more. There's HA, hypotenuse, angle. There's leg, there's leg angle, but there's no reason to do all of those because it's just kind of silly at that point. So you've got 3 problems, and you've got a bunch of fill in the blank stuff. Everything is in front of you. Yes, ma'am.
Right. It's just one, you can do ones in there.
No, it's all the same. They're all, you're doing all 3 of them.
No.
Where's your progression sheet?
No, I have questions.
Where's your progression sheet? Okay, so what does it tell you to do when you have a midpoint? Mark the diagram, figure it out. You gotta look at your sheet, it tells you what to do. Midpoints don't do anything with angles. Midpoints don't do anything with angles. Work through the sheet, guys. Look at your progression sheet and bounce it back and forth. That's